Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to check out another one of my videos. Today we're up close and ready to go because it's going to be a casual Katie Get Ready With Me where I'm just going to have some fun playing with the palette and chit-chatting with you guys as I do it. Today's palette is going to be the Kaleidos Flower Punk palette, and today's topic is going to be specifically about homeschooling. I had someone message me on Instagram and was asking like what kind of curriculum I use, how did I get started, what kind of stuff do I do for my child, because they are interested in doing that but they're not sure yet. So I was like, yeah, I could chit chat about it in a video and just share with you guys what I'm doing right now. If you're new to my channel, I have a 6, 4, and 2-year-old pregnant with number 4, but my 6-year-old is doing kindergarten. We've been doing it this past year. She was officially enrolled for our state. But real quick, I did also want to say that if you see this purple thing or hear a bunch of banging, my daughter made me some jewelry. So she wanted to make me jewelry. I'm wearing it today. That's what that's all about. But yeah, let's go ahead and roll the intro and jump right into it. I always forget to do disclaimers beforehand, but I am using a microphone. I actually got a different one than the last video you might have seen, my Gila eyeshadow swatch comparison. This is a totally different one, so we'll see how it goes, but I think I like the sound of it better. You can let me know if you have an opinion on that, but yeah, eventually I'll get it all worked out to figure out which microphone I want to use and the settings that work best. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive right in. I had told you guys that I wanted to use this in a dedicated video all to itself, just to be able to play with it on camera and to have one video to kind of refer back to if you're ever curious. So that's what we're going to do today, and I think I want to kind of play around with the mints, because if you missed my Gila palette review, I used it and wanted the looks to compare to the Gila palette, and I used the grungy tones and the pinks. So I haven't really played with the mints that much, and I haven't played with it at all on camera, so I figured that would be a good one to do today. I'm just putting on a little bit of primer. This is Zoeva's eyeshadow primer. Alright, so let me kind of get a game plan here. I kind of want to play with the mints with the grunge, or maybe I can incorporate all three. I kind of want to use this all over the lid because I don't really think I've used it all over the lid. So I think I'm going to go very grungy in the crease. And then maybe I'll put this mint on the lower lash line, and I'm trying to think if I should put any pink in there. Why don't we? We'll just use a little bit. I think I'm going to do a mixture of these two pinks in the inner crease. I'm going to bring it out to probably this one, and then this on the very outer corner. And then we'll use this in the lower lash line when we do that to blend out probably the green. And then let's see, so the only shades we won't use are these three, and I'll probably use either the pink or the green for the inner corner. So that's going to be my game plan, so we're going to use most of the shadows, and that's a combination I don't think I've done. I wish I could take this off because I feel like it keeps clinging on a little button here, but she tied it on and I can't undo it and put it on before she wakes up one-handed. So I'm going to use this S211 brush from Stilazzi, and let's go ahead and dive into, let's go ahead and do the first shade, or the darkest outer corner. So diving into Earth Ship. And first step for like homeschooling, if you're kind of considering it, I think the first step would be to either find someone that you know and ask them, or just start doing a lot of Googling, or even looking for groups on Facebook. But you know, each state has its own kind of requirements, or wherever you're at. Like, I'm just speaking from the United States, but each state's gonna have its own type of things that you have to do if you want to be able to homeschool. Like I said, in Florida, I had to go and enroll her as a student. On the paperwork where I was enrolling her to, you know, start learning and be a student, I had put there that I was going to homeschool her. Let's take a pause and talk about this, because there is a patch here that's very annoying and it won't fill. So I am guessing that the primer or something was wet or not blended out well. So I'm gonna leave that and we'll come back to it. I don't wanna bring it up too far, and so now I'm gonna take a pause and go to my inner corner, and we'll start there and then work our way back out. But yeah, you gotta kind of figure out what your state requires and what, you know, what they want you to do or whatnot, or what the age is that they want you to start. I'm going into Peach Soju. I'm a big fan of like looking for Facebook groups. Like, I feel like every time, and this may be just because maybe I know this just because I have moved a lot, but every time I move to a new area, I start looking for like mom groups in the area, either within my neighborhood, within kind of my town, and just kind of from there being able to slowly word of mouth kind of work and find out different types of groups to be in. So like I found a group for my neighborhood, and within that neighborhood there was a thread one day like, hey, who else is homeschooling in the area? I'd love to connect, you know, for the kids to get together. And through that thread, like I found a bunch of people really close to me who also homeschool. And so that would be a great way to not only, you know, be able to ask questions of someone who's currently homeschooling in your state or in your area, but also to be able to, you know, as I said, you know, which the request was, of connecting and having play dates or whatnot, or just being able to connect and make friends with other homeschool families in the area. And also through that, able to find or like kind of organizations. Like we have one for our local area that I knew about because my parents were a part of it, and I was a part of it with them growing up. But it's an organization in our area where you can, like, you know, it's a very little fee to be a member of, and then they kind of get groups together. So they do like field trips, they'll get that together, or they do like big play dates either at a park, and like they'll kind of collaborate to bring food and everyone can come together, but just ways to connect homeschoolers in the area together. And I also like it for just the, like I said, like a field trip aspect, because, you know, when you're homeschooling individually, it's kind of hard to like just take a tiny group and ask to go like see a factory or something like that. But because it's through that organization where they can get a really big group, they're able to get those kind of field trip experiences, and I absolutely love taking advantage of those. So that's something I'm really looking forward to doing more with as my daughter and son continue to get bigger. I'm just gonna take a touch of that darker mauve shade Nouveau. I'm just gonna take it on this little brush and just kind of put it in here, kind of like I did for that Gila palette. But I don't want it to be too dark or too like overtake this shade at all, because I kind of want it to be light, but I do want there to be shading. And then after this, I'm going to take a pause and catch my other eye up, because I just have been forgetting to do my right eye. Okay, so there we are, caught up. I'm just going to go back to this side, grab a decent amount of product on my brush and see if I can tap over and fix that. Nope, I honestly don't know why. I've used this palette specifically at least 5 times. I think more along the lines of like 6 times. I'm escaping the number off the top of my head, but I've been playing around with it a lot, and this is the first time something like that has happened. So I have no idea why that is, but that is honestly very annoying. I feel like it's probably just my primer, because that is currently the only kind of different factor that I can think of, because I've been using different primers when I've been playing with this. I've been using mostly the Smashbox primer, so that's my guess, but I'm gonna cover it with eyeliner, so I'm not stressing over it. Now I'm going to go in with a tiny little brush like this L217 brush, and we're going to dive into Golden Age right there. But yeah, that's my first kind of recommendation, is to just try to connect with the people in your area, and that's going to really help you not only get a lot of questions answered for like your area specifically or your state specifically, that just changes from state to state, but also help you connect and find people that you could do like, you know, play dates or go to the park or go to the zoo. It's always fun to go, you know, to places like that, especially the zoo or something, with a big group of friends. So it's just been a great way that I've connected. So yeah, that's how I started. And then once she was enrolled, as far as curriculum goes, I'm super flexible. I tend to be someone who just like picks and chooses. And honestly, what I was doing initially before I even signed her up is because she's been like voicing interest of doing school for a while now. I think since around 4, we would, you know, loosely do school throughout the week. It was nothing structured, but I would get books to help her continue learning. And I would just go on Amazon and kind of wherever she was at, if she was wanting to learn like ABCs, if she was wanting to learn how to write neat, or we were wanting to work on our vowels and stuff like that, I would find workbooks. And also another place I like to look was Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree has great little books that you get for $1 or $1.25 now, but you can pick up, and you know, I would let her work on that, and that is what I consider school, because it just helps her learn and further along. So I definitely don't think you have to, you know, find one type of curriculum and do everything from them, because like there's a lot out there. So if you're someone who enjoys that type of thing, you can go on a hunt, read all the reviews, and there's lots of video reviews now too if you want to see the pages and hear people's experiences with it and whatnot. So just depending on how involved you want to be with that. I'm kind of just, like I said, I kind of pick and choose, and then also word of mouth as we go along, and someone close to her age or a little bit above her, we're over, you know, together at their house or something, especially like my sister, she has children a little bit older than my daughter, so I'll always be like, well, what are you using for this, and what are you using for this, and then I'll kind of check it out, be able to flip through their books and see what they're using, and that's a way I like to kind of figure out what I'll use later on. So for right now, math, I'm using Saxon grade 1. I forget what it's called exactly. I think that's what it is, but I'm using Saxon math. And then also for a lot of the other ones, my husband picked up a curriculum because he's more of the curriculum, like he wants one thing and use everything from it. So we have a lot from this one curriculum that I use for like science and history, so we'll do that. And I'm not someone who like does science and history like every day. I do that more like sporadically throughout the week. I kind of skip some days so it's not hours of us sitting down doing school. Anyway, at this point I need to go ahead and do my lid. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the mint. I'm just gonna use a little bit of glitter primer. But yeah, we use that, and I'll leave the link down below if you'd like to know what exactly we're using because it escapes me. I think it's just called Generations, but that doesn't feel complete. So like I said, the name is escaping me, but I'll link it down below. But I'm using that for history and math, and then also for her reading, and also just a bunch of, when it comes to reading, like we have that book to kind of help lay the solid foundation for learning, you know, the vowel sounds and the letter sounds and blending and mixing and stuff like that. But I will get any kind of book that's basic for her to read, for her to practice. And so we got some like Becca books that she can practice reading through from like family members who are done with them. And then we'll go to the library and I'll look for like the kindergarten or step 1 books from the library to bring home, and then just have that. And even though she can't read all the words, I'll go through and read it with her, and I'll have her do the ones that she knows, and then I'll do any bigger words that might be something she hasn't learned, or like some type of blending that she hasn't learned yet, or you know, she hasn't worked through yet. And that's a great way for her to practice. So that's what we do for reading. But then along with that, we also have a downloaded like game or learning app on the Kindle that they can do. It's called ABC Mouse. And also we do what's the other name? There's 2 apps that are really good for like learning that they can learn independently. So if I want them to do something educational but I don't have time to sit down with them, I'll say like, you can do ABC Mouth, or what's the other one? Khan Academy. That's it, Khan Academy Kids. Both of them are apps that you can get on the iPhone too, but we just have a Kindle for them. And I like to do that if I'm, you know, towards the end of the day, they just want to sit down and watch a movie, or it's too rainy for them to go out and play in the backyard, but I need to get started cooking or prepping for dinner, or, you know, just cleaning up for the night. That's something I can say, you know, go grab the Kindle and you can do ABC Mouth or Khan Academy Kids, and it's a great way for them to continue learning. Even though they're like playing games, it's still really helpful in the different areas. Like ABC Mouse does a lot of different things, as does Khan Academy. They do every subject basically, and you can pick the grade for your child or the level that you want them to start, and it'll progressively get harder as it goes along. So that's been something we've been doing since she was 4. I think is when we first got it, and I feel like that's a great tool. We use it most heavily when I am pregnant, I will say that. It kind of goes through ebbs and flows with how often we use the Kindle, but it definitely comes out a lot when I am pregnant. So yeah, those are the apps. Those are the different books that I do. I'll link all the different books that we're using for Olivia. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna dab into this grungy shade. We'll use that because I just want to use something else. Obviously, I left it bare. So yeah, that's what I do. And then I think the only other thing that we have going along with all of that is that once a week we go to like a community school, I guess you could call it. It's called Classical Conversations, and you can look it up and look into it. But basically, once a week we'll meet with other fellow homeschoolers in the area, and we will learn a bunch of things. And I really like it for their age because the kind of the school aspect of it just focuses on memory work, which at this age, you know, my daughter's 6, they're so good at memorizing. Like, it's amazing the stuff my daughter can memorize, and so quickly. I'm just like, you already got that memorized? It's amazing. And so that's kind of what the focus is. And they do teach them a little Latin. What are the different subjects? History, geometry, Latin, math, oh gosh, I'm forgetting some history, science, and probably another subject that I'm not thinking of. Art, maybe? That's the one I'm not thinking of. But they go, and it's just, we meet once a week for one morning, and you have different classes, and there's different, they have their own teacher, and she'll go through all of the different, like the new information that they need to work on memorizing throughout the rest of the week. And all of the stuff that they have to memorize is most commonly put to either hand motions or songs so that they can memorize it. And yeah, like I said, my daughter and son both like have picked up so much from that. It's something I really enjoyed because at this age they're such sponges. So even though like a lot of the stuff they're learning or like being, you know, taught and having memorized, you know, they don't fully understand it all, but it's just such great like basic root, you know, things to know that's going to be great for later on when they're learning more about these things. They'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that, and they can like recall it, like they're learning about volcanoes and just like basic kind of like, you know, what are some some parts of a volcano. We learned about what are some parts of plants and what are some parts of trees. And so just basic things like that that you need to know throughout life, and they have already got it memorized and whatnot and can tell you, and learning about it, and they love it too because it's a time that they can go and see their friends and be able to kind of have a different teacher in a different school environment. And that's been also really helpful as I've been going through morning sickness, and I've been taking a lull, especially through January, with doing any school at all. So that's been a nice way that they're still learning between that and the Kindle. They're still learning stuff. It's a lot slower, not as good as when mommy's able to do their kind of structured school, but they're still learning. It's not like they're just, you know, sitting and not intaking and learning anything. So that's been something I've really enjoyed. This is our first year doing it, and we're planning to continue doing it, but it's been a lot of fun. The kids love it. And you know, they also do like a craft each week or some type of art, craft, sciencey things. They got to, what are some things they've done? They've gotten to take an owl pellet apart. That's my son's favorite part that we've ever done, and he's often said like, can we do that again? They thought that was so much fun getting to look inside it and just find all the different bones of the animals that the owl had eaten before. What else? They've taken like the flowers apart to look inside and see all the different parts. Recently they got to take a piece of soap and like sculpt it because we were learning about Michelangelo, and so someone had the great idea to take like just a bar of soap and a little like paper clip, and because the soap is so soft you can kind of stencil an outline, and the kids were able to like carve out the shape of, my kids did butterflies. But it's just so much fun and stuff that's different from what you do at the house, so she loves it, looks forward to it every single week. And it's just been a great way to get more, you know, knowledge in them, help them to learn more things in a different fun environment. And yeah, it's been a really fun thing this past year, and I think that's kind of the last thing that I'm doing right now for our first full year as homeschooling at home. Let me go ahead and do wing liner. I'm just going to use this brown, and then we'll jump back into it. Here we are. This is pretty much the top. That the liner covered up that mess up completely, so that's good. But yeah, I like how it turned out. Let's go ahead and move to the lower lash line. I'm just going to take a tiny brush and put that darkest green right against my lower lash line. I feel like I kind of very quickly went over everything. If you have any questions, especially if you were the lady who messaged me, feel free to message me again if you want to remain anonymous, and let me know if there's anything else I can further expound upon, or if you're just curious yourself, feel free to like ask any questions and maybe I can chat about it in a future video. I'm still very new to actually actively teaching, you know, doing it as a parent, but I did go through, you know, homeschool. I was homeschooled all throughout my grade years at home, so I'm used to the atmosphere, and I definitely think that's something that maybe people don't realize as much when you're not homeschooled, but I definitely think it's important to find other homeschoolers in the area and connect that way, and it allows you to be able to not only have someone to kind of bounce off of, either, you know, needing ideas for curriculum or whatnot, or having questions about stuff, but also to be able to, what is this brush that keeps putting black flakies on my face? But able to meet up for, you know, either just like a casual day at the park to hang out and have fun, or to be able to go, you know, to the zoo and make it kind of like your own personal excursion or you know, field trip out to the zoo, and you know, be able to do it with friends and whatnot. It's always a lot of fun. But yeah, I didn't know if like she wanted specific type of recommendations. I only have a couple like for curriculum that I'm using right now, so I'm not sure if that's super helpful. But some other good ones that I know either I've used personally, like myself, you know, when I was growing up, or that a lot of my friends I know use and have good things, and they're kind of like in the back of my mind to possibly use throughout the years with my kids, is like a Becca Books, I feel like is a good one. Matthew C, I always hear great things. One of my siblings did it, and I will definitely consider it for my children if like Saxon just doesn't jive with them, because you got to find, I think that's the neat thing about homeschooling, is you can find what type of learning and education, like what type your child is most receptive to, and like, you know, each kid is so different. Some are much more just like, give me it on paper, let me read it through, that's how I need to learn. Other kids are like, I need to see it visualized, I need you to like tell me it, you know, clearly be able to tell me it in words so that I can visualize it in my head. Others are like, I need to see it. So depending on how my kids are gonna learn is kind of what I'll determine to change up their curriculum throughout the years. But yeah, Matthew C is another good one for like spelling and stuff. We always were big fans of, what was that? Andrew Pudawa, Excellence in Spelling, maybe? I'll link it down below, but he always had one. That's what I did growing up, and I think is a good one to learn. I'll probably do for my daughter and my kids as they get a little bit older. into the like spelling realm. But yeah, I think at this point I'm pretty much done. Let me just grab some brown to stick in my waterline and think if there's anything else that I meant to cover. But yeah, I feel like I kind of covered all the bases. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say is for the first year, since she's in kindergarten, I'm not someone who is currently doing anything super structured where like every single morning, Monday through Friday, we sit down and we do math, we do history, we do science, we do reading or spelling, whatever you want to call it, learning to read. I'm not someone who does all those structured things. It's her first year, she's in kindergarten, and you know, it's her first year going from something very unstructured to more structured. So I didn't want to make it a chore, and I didn't want to overburden her. So, and I also wanted it to be something fun that we get to look forward to and whatnot. So what I do is I shoot for every day doing math and reading, because I feel like those are the very important ones. Every day that we sit down and do school, I do math and reading. Those are super important. And then I'll pick either history or science to do if we're having a good day, things are moving along and keeping really, really smooth. I'll throw in one of those, and those will be the ones that I kind of switch out depending on the day. I won't do those every day. And then also on Tuesdays when we go to CC, we don't do any school, so that's a break from our type of school. And then typically throughout the week, I feel like there's another day that we either just do one subject because it's been a crazy day, that's it, that's all we end up doing, or we take the whole day off and we don't do any structured school. On those days, I still try to have her do the Kindle or something, or I have playlist for the CC to all the memory things that are the memory songs that they do. I have playlists for that, so that if it's super busy day, I can't sit down, but I still want her to be learning something, I'll be like, let's learn some geography. Let's go over your geography review of what we've learned so far. And I'll put that on. So that tends to be what I do. But yeah, I'm not someone, I know a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, how do you do it every day? Homeschooling, you know, your daughter, feeding your family, doing YouTube and taking care of your kids and stuff like that. I'm not someone who like, you know, spends hours and hours every single day, Monday through Friday, doing school right now. Kindergarten, I feel like kindergarten life is still school. Like if she helps me cook food that day, that's her learning how to cook. That's her learning, you know, measurements and stuff like that. So I still count that in my head as schooling. You know, if she helps, you know, we go and deep clean their room. That's something that I think is still very educational and learning. Maybe it's not like bookwork, but it's her learning how to clean, how to look thoroughly, how to be able to put things away after herself, and how to have eagle eyes for all the little things that like to hide in her room. And still something that at her age is very educational, setting those foundations for her as she grows up, learning how to clean the room well, that type of thing. So I feel like, you know, at this age she's learning all the time, and as long as, you know, throughout her day she's learning all the time, I'm not stressing if we skip a day or so of schooling. And especially with this last month, as I said, January was very sad when it came to school for them, or like, I shouldn't say sad when it came to school. We just still did CC, we still did CC review, and we still did what do you call it, ABC math and stuff. But as far as like sitting down book work, it was a very sad month for me just because I was so sick. But we're getting back at it, and we're still learning. But yeah, that's how I do it. I try not to be like super strict, super severe. I keep it fun and laid back. And I'm also someone, I think, with homeschooling, maybe you forget, but you can do it at any time. So I try to do it in the morning, but there's some days that the morning just gets away from us, and we don't sit down to do any kind of schoolwork until after naps. And then after naps, kind of before dinner, before my husband comes home, we'll sit down and we'll do some math, and we'll do, you know, some reading, or I'll sit down and read a book with her, and then maybe do some science. We'll do a science project or something. And that way we still get it in, but you know, it's more at a more unconventional, I guess you could say, time. So yeah, I hope that answered some questions. I didn't mean to come on here and like be know-it-all or anything, but just to share what I know, what I'm doing right now, and how I'm doing it with my one child that is officially in school. Although, you know, with my one child in school, my 4-year-old middle child, still every time we do school, he wants to sit down and do his own school. So I've got another school for him. Those often, most of them come from Dollar Tree. I'll pick up something that he can practice his writing, practice his numbers, he can do basic math, stuff like that. It's a great way for him to start learning, even though he's like young and doesn't need to worry about school. He still loves it because his sister's doing it, and he's starting young, which is awesome. So he often sits with us. The only hard part is my son Levi, who is 2. He's the tricky one when I want to sit down and do school. Trying to keep him busy is is a whole video in itself, I should say. It's something. But yeah, this is my look. Let me go ahead and take my hair out so it looks a little bit more put together. I feel like when I have my hair is back, I just feel like it's shower time, even though yes, it is shower time for me. But yeah, here is the look. This is how it turned out. I love the added mint with the pink and the green. Yes, it ended up being very similar to what I did in the crease work with the Kaleidos, or not Kaleidos, with the Odin's Eye palettes. I'm so sorry, it worked out that way. But I really like it. I really like how it turned out, and I love the mint. The mint is a fun pop with all the grunge and the pink. And as far as like first impressions, or honestly, this is a full review. As I said, I've done over 5 looks with this palette. So kind of like my thoughts on this is I like the mattes and I like the shimmers. I don't like the formula of the shimmers just because it's very messy, as you can see. It's a little tricky to put on, and they tend to be sheer-ish, so I spend a good while kind of building them up. But they're very beautiful. They're so sparkly. They got so much sparkle and dimension in them. I mentioned this in the Odin's Eye review, but they have sparkle that is a different color from the color that you see like of the eyeshadow, so it makes it stand out and makes the sparkle stand out so much more, and it's absolutely beautiful. So they are very, very beautiful. They're just not my favorite formula, but they're still very pretty. And then the mattes are very nice. I like the grunge best. I feel like the mattes for the pinks and this pastel, the pastel's pretty good, but definitely the pinks, I feel like they're so soft that I have to take a lot of work to kind of build them up, or it just takes a lot of time building. And sometimes, especially like this shade, it doesn't get that dark, it doesn't get that intense. So I don't know, they're fine, they're great in looks to incorporate, but whenever I use like these pinks, all 3 of these in a look, I was kind of disappointed with the look of the mattes because I felt like it almost was like disappearing into my face, like you couldn't really see it. But these mattes down here, these 3, they're really beautiful. I've never had a complaint anytime I use them until today with that patch. Besides that, I've never had a complaint, and they're absolutely beautiful. They're very intense, they're very pretty. They still have that like fineness and softness to them when I go into them, but I feel like they just have more pigment than the pinks do, and a little bit more pigment than the mint did. I feel like I definitely had to build it up on my lower lash lines. Oh my goodness, I didn't put an inner corner highlight. What am I doing? Okay, so sorry, this video is all over the place. Let's go ahead and take that pink, because that's the other shimmer, the last shimmer that I didn't use. I'm gonna use that for my inner corner highlight, and then I'll stick up close-ups so you guys can see the look. But yeah, we'll put this in. This pink is also super pretty. But yeah, not to say anything like super negative to the formula. It's just not my favorite to work with, but it's not so like annoying that I would consider like missing out on future Kaleidos palettes, if that makes sense. I would definitely, if I like the color story, I would still purchase it, and I would just put up with the formula that they have, because like how they look on the eyes is just beautiful. So yeah, here is the final look. So sorry about that. I'll stick up close up so you guys can see. But yeah, a ton of color on my eyes. I really do like how the final look turned out, and I didn't say on camera, but I'm using a Give Me Glow liquid lipstick. It's one of their older ones. I can't remember the name. I want to say it's Darla, but I honestly don't know because the sticker fell off. But it's a really pretty shade, and I like how it dries down. It stays very comfortable. But yeah, that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. As I said, I didn't mean to come on here and be like a know-it-all and like tell you guys everything there is to know about homeschooling. I just thought to sit down and share a little bit about my thoughts. And as I said, if you want to leave your questions down below, maybe I can address it in a future video, or maybe I'll do a little Q&A on my Instagram or something like that. But I can try my best to answer it. Again, I am not a know-it-all. This is my first year actually doing it, and it is much different to actually be the parent than it is to be the student. I was the student growing up, and now I'm like, oh yay, I get to be the parent teaching the student, and it's a whole different ballgame. So I'm still very much learning as I go and whatnot. So anyway, that is going to do it for me. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope the audio is okay. Let me know. We're gonna get the audio figured out. I am determined to get a microphone that works for my setup and works for my inability to figure out technology. Hopefully this one is it. We shall see. But yeah, with all that said, I'm over on Instagram, LadyKatie92, as always, if you want to follow me over there. And with all that said, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.